Every once in a while I want to make this video, and then something distracts me and I forget about it for quite some time. For example, the last time I wanted to make this video was when Lady Gaga did the halftime Super Bowl special, because she did Born This Way. And that's kind of the central issue that goes around this topic. Now, this time it happened to be a couple of videos, one from TMM where he's reviewing some pastor or other theist, I don't remember exactly, who really, I think, hit the nail on the head on a lot of the theist thinking when it comes to whether or not being LGBT is a lifestyle choice or not. He very succinctly put it that, if it's something that you're born with, then we can't discriminate against you. If it's an internal, natural issue, then we are monsters for doing that. So it must be a lifestyle choice. The other one that came up was from the Atheist Experience. There was a clip that was put up called "Theism is no worse than homosexuality," or something to that effect. And on a surface level, I'm actually inclined to agree, because as long as you're not using your religion or sexuality to govern other people's lives, I don't care who you're on your knees for. But then the caller compared somebody becoming an atheist through conversation and discussion and logical arguments to conversion therapy, and he lost me. So I'm going to be frank, the idea of the nature versus nurture argument, I'm really torn on it. Because on the one hand, I cannot imagine choosing any of this, and if I could choose, I would choose the quote-unquote lifestyle that would be less likely to get me disproportionately murdered, especially considering the violence I have lived in my life since I was in the single digits. On the other hand, that first pastor kind of nailed it, and I think it's kind of awful that the only way that we can force people to be decent to one another is if we play up this inborn condition thing. Oh, they can't help it, they were born this way, that makes us monsters. So, torturing and beating and killing gay people is okay if they choose it, but if they are born that way, we're monsters. And this is usually used to justify how they must be choosing a lifestyle. I think this is awful. At the same time, that whole conversion therapy thing, this guy's comparing reasoned arguments, or ostensibly reasoned arguments. As I've said before, you don't need to be logical or rational to be an atheist. But this guy is comparing what Matt Dillahunty does to what people do that has been considered torture, and in some cases actually physically torture, to try and fix LGBT individuals. And note the heavy scare quotes around fix, because I don't think that's a fix, but that's really what the attitude is. There's something wrong with gay people that needs to be corrected. This is how we correct it. That's why they call it conversion therapy rather than what it really is, torture. They try and liken it to things like chemotherapy, except, instead of cancer, you're purging the body of the gay, or don't know. So I'm going to be honest here. A lot of this is filtered through my own history, my own trauma, and in my mind, I can't picture anybody choosing to be gay, bi, or trans if they had the option to not be. That doesn't mean they don't exist. Because I can't picture it doesn't mean that they aren't out there. So maybe there are people who choose to be gay, or choose to be bi, or choose to be trans. And I am fine with that. But it seems to me that those aren't the people who need to be tortured to be converted back. And there's probably a reason that conversion therapy doesn't really seem to work almost 100% of the time. There are alleged success stories, but overall the medical community thinks it's ineffective and torture. I'm going to keep going back to that word, yes. So maybe this argument is necessary and unavoidable, especially the way things tend to be framed. But it still bothers me because the underlying issue is that we are being monstrous to people, and I think it's horrible that it's considered okay to be monstrous to people if they choose to do something that doesn't affect your life or harm you in any way. But not if it's inborn. the fact that it's a choice really shouldn't matter in a lot of these cases. People should have equal treatment. You shouldn't be able to do these things to people, even if it was 100% a lifestyle choice. And I think the way we're forced to frame things often puts us on the back foot, but that is another issue for another time. So in the meanwhile, thanks for listening. Amaranth out.